We don't know everything there is to know about our ancestors, but sometimes we come across things they've left behind to help us get to know them better. From the oldest illustrated book to the warrior women of Mongolia, these are some of the most unbelievable ancient finds that will amaze you. And trust us, by the end of this video, you'll see history in an entirely different way. So, let's begin this list with number 15, the giant deer bone of Einhorn. For a long time, people believed the ability to create art belonged only to humans. Well, it's true, but that idea has taken a serious hit back in June 2021 when archaeologists uncovered a carved giant deer bone inside a cave in Germany's Harz Mountains. What makes it remarkable is not just the object itself, but who likely made it. Researchers believe this engraving wasn't done by modern humans, but by Neanderthals. That alone changes the way we look at them. We already knew they could shape tools from wood and bone, but this goes further. The bone was carefully prepared, cleaned, possibly boiled, and then carved with deliberate chevron patterns. That kind of effort suggests intention, not accident. No one knows what the symbols meant, and maybe we never will. But the fact that they exist hints at something deeper. If Neanderthals could carve symbols, they might have been capable of symbolic communication too. That raises a bigger question. Maybe we've been underestimating them this entire time. Number 14. Sumerian Kushum Tablet. Well, long before modern systems of record-keeping, people were already finding ways to track transactions. One of the earliest known examples comes from ancient Mesopotamia. This clay tablet, over 5,000 years old, is believed to contain the oldest recorded name in human history. The symbols etched into it refer to someone called Kushim. Whether Kushim was an individual or a title is still debated, but the name appears clearly within the text. The tablet itself is thought to be an administrative record, possibly documenting the distribution of barley over a period of time. That detail connects it to one of the earliest known industries, brewing. Barley was a key ingredient in early forms of beer, which makes this record surprisingly relatable. It's not a grand inscription or a piece of art, it's a receipt. But that's exactly what makes it so important. It shows that even thousands of years ago, people needed to keep track of everyday exchanges. Number 13. Oldest illustrated book ever. Some ancient discoveries don't just show how people lived, they show how they thought about death. Around 4,000 years ago, ancient Egyptians created something now known as the Book of Two Ways, and it's considered the oldest illustrated book ever found. It was found inside a coffin belonging to a woman named Ankh, and it wasn't just decoration. The text acted as a guide for the afterlife, showing routes through the underworld and offering spells to deal with dangers along the way. We're talking about fires, spirits, obstacles, and everything was mapped out. What's interesting is that even though it was placed in a woman's burial, the text refers to the deceased using male terms, likely to associate them with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. The fragments were badly damaged when first uncovered, which made studying them difficult. But once preserved, they revealed something deeply human. Even thousands of years ago, people were trying to understand what comes next. But today, this kind of concept is completely gone. Number 12. Ceramic horned face from Biskupis. Sometimes, the smallest discoveries leave the strongest impression. That was the case in 2020 when archaeologists uncovered a small ceramic face in the Polish village of Biskupis. Measuring only a few inches in length, it stood out immediately. The figure features exaggerated facial traits and what appear to be horn-like projections, giving it a striking and slightly unsettling look. Experts estimate it to be around 7,000 years old, placing it deep in the Neolithic period. Similar artifacts have been found in parts of Hungary, which suggests a shared artistic style or belief system, but there's no clear evidence linking those regions directly. That's where the mystery begins. Was this a representation of a deity, a spirit, or something more symbolic? Without written records, it's impossible to say. What remains is the object itself, quietly carrying a meaning that's been lost over time, waiting for an explanation that may never come. Number 11. Victorian witch bottle from Oswestry. Superstition shaped much of daily life in 19th century Britain, often in ways that feel unsettling today. People feared curses, spirits, and unseen forces, and they took unusual and sometimes otherworldly steps to protect themselves. In 2021, one of those methods resurfaced in Oswestry. A Victorian glass bottle was discovered containing human hair, a tooth, and traces of urine. Known as a witch bottle, it was meant to guard a home against evil. The idea was simple but disturbing. By placing personal materials inside the bottle, the owner believed they could create a kind of spiritual barrier. These objects weren't rare either. Variations of them date back to the 16th century and were once common in households. What made this discovery even more eerie was what lay beside it. A severed doll's head was found nearby. Whether connected or not, the combination is hard to ignore. It offers a glimpse into a mindset shaped by fear and belief. Number 10. Mongolian warrior women. Sometimes, bones tell a story no written record ever could. In Mongolia, archaeologists found two skeletons that changed how people look at the past. These remains, around 1,500 years old, belonged to two women, one in her 20s and the other much older. At first, they seemed like ordinary burials, but a closer look revealed something different. Their bones showed clear signs of a life spent on horseback. The spine damage matched what you'd expect from frequent riding, and their fingers showed wear consistent with using a bow over time. These weren't just travelers or observers. They were skilled. It suggests they may have been warriors, something not often highlighted in historical accounts from that region. The women were part of the Shanbei culture, and their lives may have inspired stories passed down over generations. It's one of those finds that quietly shifts how we understand entire societies without needing to say much at all. Number 9. Piablanca cave paintings. Dating cave art has always been a challenge. Stone itself can't be directly dated, so researchers usually rely on materials found within or around the artwork. In 2021, scientists working in the Piablanca caves in the Philippines managed to overcome that limitation. Using advanced techniques, they were able to confirm that the paintings inside the cave are around 3,500 years old. That makes them the earliest directly dated cave artworks in Southeast Asia. The timing is interesting. The oldest human remains found in the same region date to roughly the same period, suggesting a possible connection between the artists and the first people to settle there. The identity of those early inhabitants is still debated. Some believe they were Austronesian migrants, while others point to earlier groups like the Negritos. Both possibilities remain open. What matters is that these paintings now have a place in history, no longer floating in uncertainty. Number 8. Maya greenstone celts from Siebel. The Maya were one of the most powerful civilizations in ancient America, yet large parts of their story remain out of reach. Much of what we know comes from Spanish accounts which only tell part of the picture. That's why a discovery made in early 2021 at Cibal, Guatemala stands out. Archaeologist Takeshi Inomata uncovered a cache of 72 polished greenstone celts, carefully buried in a cross-shaped formation. What makes this even more intriguing is the age. These objects date back roughly 3,000 years, a period of Maya history that is still largely unknown. The placement wasn't random either. Each point of the cross aligns with the cardinal directions, suggesting planning and purpose. Greenstone itself appears to have held deep value for the Maya, tied to life, fertility, or spiritual beliefs. But beyond that, the meaning remains unclear. That uncertainty is what makes the find so important. It offers a rare glimpse into a time we barely understand. Number 7. Cool Carrick Cairn. Well, without a doubt, Ireland's landscape is filled with hundreds of ancient stone structures, but some still manage to stay hidden in plain sight. The cairn discovered at Coolnacarrick Hill in County Louth is one of them. It was identified back in 2021 by two amateur archaeologists who first noticed it through satellite imagery before visiting the site in person. What they found was a large stone mound sitting in a remote, overgrown area, untouched for what could be thousands of years. And reaching it wasn't an easy task. Thick vegetation had to be cleared just to access the structure, which likely explains how it remained unnoticed for so long. Cairns are often associated with burials or memorials, and there's a chance this one still contains human remains. So far, it hasn't been excavated, leaving its interior a complete mystery. Its location, isolation, and condition all suggest it has been undisturbed for an incredibly long time. Number 6. Otto the Great's Church in Saxony. Back in July 2021, archaeologists searching for the lost palace of Otto the Great stumbled onto something unexpected. Instead of the palace itself, they uncovered the remains of a massive church near Helfta in Saxony. Historical records had always suggested both structures existed in the area, so the discovery immediately raised new questions. The church stretches nearly 100 feet and follows a classic cross-shaped design with 3 aisles. It stood for centuries before being destroyed during the Reformation in the 1500s. What remains today still carries a sense of scale and importance. Among the ruins, researchers found a bronze crucifix decorated with enamel, likely crafted in France, along with fragments of a large bell. Despite commissioning the church, Otto himself barely used it. Records suggest he visited only once, on the day of its inauguration in 968. That detail adds a strange layer to the story. A structure built with authority, yet barely touched by the man behind it. Alright guys, now, let's talk about Number 5. William Wallace's Fort. Some stories stay alive long after the places connected to them disappear. William is one of those figures known for resisting English control over Scotland. According to historical accounts, there was once a hidden stronghold near Dumfriesshire where he and his men would retreat between attacks. It wasn't a grand castle or anything built to impress. It was meant to stay hidden, a place to regroup and plan. For a long time, no one knew exactly where it was. But with modern tools, archaeologists began to narrow it down. Using drones and detailed surveys of the land, they found features that matched the old descriptions surprisingly well. While no visible structure remains, the layout of the terrain lines up with what history suggests. It's one of those discoveries where the physical evidence is subtle, but the connection feels strong. The kind of place that once held strategy, movement, and moments that shaped a much bigger story. Number 4. Medieval Nubian Church at Old Dongola. In early 2021, archaeologists working at Old Dongola in Sudan uncovered the remains of a large religious structure that may have been a cathedral. The discovery adds a new layer to what is already known about the region's Christian past. Dongola began as a fortress in the 5th century, but later developed into a major center after the area adopted Christianity. This newly uncovered building is larger than any previously identified church at the site, which has led researchers to reconsider earlier assumptions about the city's layout. The structure includes an apse and traces of painted walls, suggesting it once held significant religious importance. Nearby, the remains of a domed tomb add to the impression of a carefully planned sacred space. For years, historians believed the cathedral stood elsewhere, outside the main city walls. This finding challenges that idea. Excavation is still ongoing, and there's a strong possibility that more details remain hidden beneath the surface. So, what's your take on that? Let us know. Number 3. The Princess Burial of France. Some graves tell you everything just by what's left inside them. In France, near St. Vulbas, archaeologists uncovered a burial that stood out from the rest. It dated back around 2,800 years and contained the remains of a woman believed to have been of high status, possibly even a princess. What set her apart wasn't just the burial itself, but what she was laid to rest with. Blue glass beads, carefully crafted jewelry, and small copper items like bracelets and a belt buckle surrounded her. These weren't everyday objects. They suggested wealth, importance, and a life that held influence in her community. Around her, other graves told a different story. Many bodies had been cremated, while some plots held offerings instead of remains. It points to a culture with layered traditions and beliefs about death. Even without written records, the contrast between these burials says a lot about status and how people were remembered. It's amazing. Number 2. Hurricane Irma canoe from Florida. Natural disasters often leave destruction behind, but occasionally they reveal something unexpected. After Hurricane Irma passed through Florida in 2017, a wooden canoe appeared near the Indian River. At first, it looked like debris carried in by the storm, but a closer look suggested otherwise. The canoe measured 15 feet in length and weighed several hundred pounds, making it far from easy to move. Once examined, it became clear that this wasn't modern. The structure was carved from a single tree trunk, shaped with surprising precision. What made it even more unusual were the square iron nails used in its construction, something not commonly seen in similar finds. Estimates placed its age at around 600 years. That raises an obvious question. Where did it come from? The hurricane must have shifted it from somewhere, but its original location remains unknown. It's a reminder that history can surface without warning. Number 1. Giant extinct elephant species. It's easy to think we've already seen the biggest animals this planet has to offer. But then something like this turns up. In Germany, archaeologists uncovered the remains of an ancient elephant species that lived around 300,000 years ago, and it was massive. Known as the Eurasian straight-tusked elephant, this creature stood over 10 feet tall at the shoulder and weighed around 7.5 tons. That's bigger than most modern elephants today. Its tusks alone stretched over 7 feet, giving it a presence that would have been hard to ignore. What makes this discovery stand out is how complete the skeleton was. Most finds like this are scattered or damaged, but this one gave a clear picture of the animal. Evidence suggests it likely died of old age, not hunting. Afterward, scavengers picked over the remains, and later, early humans may have done the same. It's a quiet reminder that even giants eventually fall. If you found this video interesting, be sure to like it and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.